to Sukkot, maybe summer vacation, summer program. But we're going to do something really fun over the course of the next couple months. Every year, and we're going to have someone who is in really helping educate the market, understand, a little bit about Pesach programs, how they work, who attends. This can be for people who have never been to a Passover program before. We're going to get into it today. We're going to have a lot of fun today. So if you are joining, you're going to learn a lot about Pesach programs. When I say a lot, inside baseball, inside scoop that you probably, at one point or another, if you have been on a Passover program, you're going to want to know a little bit about, how these programs work and what to expect on the program, right? And so we're going to bring in someone who is a whiz, who's knows a lot more than I do, who's been around for forever, to come in and talk about the market. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot very interesting. There he is. How you doing?
Good, Donnie. How are you?
Good. And where are you calling in from?
I'm actually in South Florida right now. Um, just had a couple of busy Thursday, Friday. It's just gonna be. It's a big traveling week for me. I live in New York, but it's gonna be a big
Yeah.
traveling week for me coming up, and just post Pesach stuff we have to review at the hotels. So yeah, I'm in South
Good.
Florida at the moment.
Well, let's introduce yourself, because someone just joined and, they're good to kind of get a sense of who you are. So we got Robert Chaim Frusher here. For those, Robert Frusher, Chaim Frusher, if you know him, from New York. He has Leisure Time Tours. That's the name of the program. You've been in business, Robert, how many years now? You, your father. I mean, how long are we talking?
I mean, the company was founded originally in 1958. So a lot of freaking years, Donnie. I can't even count anymore. I don't know. It's a lot. So,
Would 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 you say Leisure Time was the first Pesach program
yes, yes,
ever?
yes, yes. Well,
Wow.
it wasn't the name Leisure Time Tours back then. It was actually Young Israel Tours. But
Okay.
my father was the first person ever to take a non-kosher hotel and make it kosher for Pesach, which
Yeah,
was
kosher.
in 1972 in Miami
Wow.
Beach, the Allison Hotel at the time. Uh, I think it's like 50 something in Collins, and now it's Howard
Yeah.
Johnson's.
Amazing, amazing. So I was just getting into, telling everybody here what we're doing here, right? And we're gonna have a handful of sessions here, guys. Robert and I, one of the longest, Pesach program operator, has six programs, many, all around the world, knows this industry inside and out. If there's anybody that I learned from, it's Robert here. And every year, just to give you a sense, Robert, Passover listings gets a ton of questions about the Passover program industry, most of which we know from you and 120 other Pesach program operators, right, that we gather. So the goal of these sessions, guys, is to educate you guys, right? Understand the inner workings of the Pesach travel market in a very honest way. If you have questions while we go, ask them. Ask them away, ask away. We want you to ask as many questions. I always hear when you go away on Pesach programs, there are always a lot of families talking about Pesach programs. What's this? What's the how does the hotel work with buyouts? How does it staffed? Who attends these programs? What's the price? How to book? When to book? We're going to get into literally everything in four different sessions, maybe more over the course of the next couple weeks. So hang tight, ask away, and let's have some fun. Anything to add
Well,
there, Robert, before we
well,
dive in?
Donnie. I mean, yeah. I look. Um, you and I had a number of very candid conversations regarding the Morocco program and the South American program that canceled. So, look, from my personal standpoint, forget forget the cancel programs and things of that nature. The guy from Lakewood that was interviewed in his car, you know, I can't stand the videos that come out after or during Passover, after Passover, whatever the case may be. I mean, years ago, the lady in Mexico is throwing the plates because the restaurant served her chametz or not chametz, kitniot, or
Genio.
you know,
Uh,
and the chit chat as far as I'm concerned, the lashon hara and the is you know it's like people find this to a certain degree funny, and it spreads, and everyone's getting a chuckle. Did you see this? To me, Donnie, being in this industry, it really sickens me, and
yeah.
that's why I wanted to do this with you, to educate people, and not have this terrible stain on the Passover industry. It's just,
Mhm.
it's honestly, it's not called for. I totally get people stepping into these programs, and you know, um, this whatever the guy has to cancel the program, and then he doesn't have the money to return. All that. I get the anger, and when everyone's throwing around the number one words, class action lawsuit, da 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 da. This whole thing to me is just stupidity, and I just want
Yeah.
to set the record straight, and educate people of what to look for, so they don't get screwed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
that's why
mean,
I'm here.
no, it's great, and look, we want the whole goal right here, for everyone to understand is these guys and these press program operators work all year around. This isn't, a 1 month, 3 month, 5 month thing, right? So they work really hard, and it's unfortunate to hear, that some, don't fit the bill right every year. But I think what the end of the day, right, is to point. How do we make sure people choose the right one? How to make sure people understand how much goes into these things,
Right,
so that way they understand the aftermath. If something doesn't happen to their standards, well, why didn't it happen to their standards,
right.
right? So that's kind of what we're trying to get at. So the first session, let's get into it. We
But
got
one
30
second, Donnie,
minutes
I,
here.
I I just want to correct just one thing. Even in this 120 or whatever amount of hotels that are promoting Pesach. There's very, very few operators that do this on a year-round basis as their living. Okay, most of the operators, it's a side gig. Whether or not they have other businesses and they try this, and you know there's you can count, I don't know, on one hand, Donnie, of the people that do this 52 weeks a year.
Yeah,
And that's their sole business. So that's also, in a certain respect, important for
it
people
is.
to
It
for
is.
people to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Uh,
100%, 100%. So we're going to get into it, and let's get into it. So the first session will be for people here to understand the market, right? How do press-off programs work, and who attends?
okay. So
How do
just
programs work and who attends? So let's get into the first piece here, which is really talking about the anatomy of a Pesach program, right? Let's talk about, the what really happens first. The hotel buyouts, the resort
right,
partnerships, the staffing, the kashrut. Tell us a little
right,
bit about, when this happens, right? So Pesach ends in, let's say, April, right?
right.
What happens, right after then? How long do people wait? Let's get into kind of a little bit of the background here.
Are we talking about an operator now or a guest?
Let's talk about an operator, and then we'll
Okay.
move to the guests.
So look, as an me personally, you know, I'm working on Pesach 2027 in 2025. Okay, because again, this is my sole means of income, and that's why I do six hotels, and that's so I'm always planning. um and even the one hotel operators also, they're it's not like they're waiting for Pesach 26 to end and then they start 2027. I mean, I'm sure they have contracts before, and there's
Multi-year. Yeah.
multi-year contracts, and there's escalations, because no hotel in the world is going to sign a multi-year contract and not have increases. So automatically, hotel pricing goes up. And when there's a major jump in an operator sales price from one year to the next, that's probably because either the contract expired or he didn't have a multi-year contract, and then the hotel comes out and says, we're not going up 5 or 6%, we're going up 35% and 45%. So
Yeah.
that's not a sustainable number for a business. So that's very important. As far so the workload is constant. My friends always love to make jokes. Oh, Pesach's over, Robert's on vacation until November. Not. Doesn't work that way. Donnie, my
Not for anyone in that matter. I mean, even the
right,
people who are planning
right.
right now for 2027 are starting now, right? You
Yeah,
would
of
say.
course, of course, of
Yeah.
course. 100%. No one's, I mean, you know, for a lot of operators, yes, their reservations aren't coming in May and June. They're going to start later, but yeah, you have to get all your ducks in a
Yeah.
row, very, very early.
Yeah.
So, very another
Would
very
would you
important.
would would you say that the folks that start later in the game to find and book a hotel buyout, right, and partnership, would you say that's it's a much harder undertaking, and that is something that people
For
should
sure, for sure, it's riskier, but
think about?
no one's going to know that from a guest standpoint. When the guy signed his
Mhm.
con. I mean, that you're getting
Yeah.
too in depth.
Yeah.
Um, it's look. I always tell you this, Donnie. In our industry, you don't need a license. You don't need an education in the industry. All you need is a hungry salesperson across the desk willing to sign a contract with you. And you and people will be shocked. Many, many hotels, they do zero due diligence on who they're signing a contract with. As long as the guy has or woman has a good story, and is willing to sign a contract, and is willing to, whatever the hotel asks. Some of these hotels, they don't know what they're doing. They ask for a $10,000 deposit or a $15,000 deposit, which is crazy. But obviously, there's going to be a, a schedule that they have to meet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
listen, it's not. You don't have to prove. There's no These guys aren't doing due diligence on the operator, especially the foreign programs also. They're
Hmm.
just looking they just treat it as another group, that is coming into the hotel. Yes, it's longer,
Hmm.
and there's more people than a regular group, but they just treat it as another group piece of business. So,
Hmm.
most hotels aren't doing due diligence on a group, that's
Right.
coming into a hotel.
Right.
Also, you keep on mentioning buyout. Okay, you have, I mean, all of my hotels, I take over the whole hotel, but you have many, many programs that it's a partial deal. It's not,
Right.
I mean, they're going into a
Right.
hotel that has 800 rooms, so
Yeah.
it's
Right. They take, yeah,
you
they
know,
take, I mean, on that note, I mean, you were telling me this, maybe even a handful of years ago, right? There are programs, right? Buyout, but also staffing, right, within the program. Do you use what's the difference about using a hotel staff versus using your own staff, right? Bringing in your own staff. Talk about
Right.
that point a little bit. That's a big point.
Very big. So if you're running a large size program, okay, and I don't care where it is, if you are solely relying on the hotel uh, staff, when I say hotel staff, I'm not talking about front desk and security and chambermaids. I'm only when I use the word staff, it is um, it's kitchen personnel. It's running your kitchen and your banquet department, the waiters, captains. If you are solely relying on them to execute a Passover program, that is nuts. Really,
Mm-hmm.
really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, in
Well,
all of
why
my
is that? Why is it so hard? Explain why that's so hard, Robert. Right?
because I don't care whether or not you're talking about a Four Seasons, Ritz
Mm-hmm.
Carlton, type of hotel, or you're talking about any of the other hotels out there.
Mm-hmm.
They are they can tell you from today and tomorrow, yeah, we run events for 1,000 people, they can't do a Pesach program. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
From the sheer volume, okay, it's 36 minimum, 36 meals back to back to back. Okay. They don't know how to swallow it. They don't understand the volume that you're talking about. They cannot do it. They cannot
Mm-hmm.
perform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There
So
are some programs that do it and are successful, but you're saying the
tell me,
majority,
you
the
tell me
major.
a hotel that's relying solely on the hotel for execution. Because I don't
Hmm.
know any. I
Well,
really don't.
I think there's some hotels that we know of in Florida that do it, right?
No, but
Uh,
not solely. Listen,
night majority, I say.
I could even
Yeah.
mention the operators because
Yeah.
I'm tied with all of them. Okay,
Yeah.
Orlando, Allen Berger. So the banquet department is operated by the wait staff. Okay,
Hmm.
but kitchen personnel he's bringing in. Yes, he uses some, but he's bringing in a lot of his own. Trump Doral, same thing.
Yeah.
Or Turnberry for that matter. They do use these hotels' banquet departments, but they are supplementing the hell out of the kitchen,
Hmm.
out of the kitchen labor.
Would
They're not relying. They're not relying solely because, listen,
would you
these
say
programs are huge.
would you say the majority of Pesach programs today, that at least that you know of, use in-house hotel staff? When I say staff,
Par-
in-house hotel
Partial.
kitchen. The majority, yeah, yeah. I mean,
One second.
majority.
When you say the majority, look, I have 5 U.S. hotels, Donnie.
Yeah.
Okay, I bring in
Hmm.
complete labor. When I say
Hmm.
complete labor, I'm talking about kitchen
Hmm.
and wait staff and
Yeah.
captains. You know, if a hotel's giving me, five, six, call it chefs, which they don't, but if they
Hmm.
do, these aren't my key people. These guys are going to
Yeah.
be action station guys on the
Yeah.
floor making
Yeah.
omelets. It's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
they can't,
They're not
they
running the
can,
show.
they
Yeah.
cannot, they cannot produce. They cannot do the hours. These guys are used to 8-hour shifts, Donnie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Pesach is not eight. There's no such thing as an 8-hour shift. Okay, and then also they don't work 7 days a week. They work, I don't know, 4 or 5, and then they're off 3 days, and it's just not.
Different
It's
game.
totally different game.
Got it.
So
Okay.
so I
So
rely very very little on my Italy program. I
yeah.
use the banquet department, and I use a lot of the kitchen personnel. But again, it's a smaller program. It's
Yeah.
400 people. It's not 900 people, and by the way, it's a different menu also.
Hmm.
And it is, but I still supplement it a lot. I still bring
Hmm.
in, I'm bringing in 20,
Hmm.
even on a 400-person program, I'm bringing in 20, 25 people in the kitchen,
Yeah.
to work the program.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
you can't, you can't, listen, me personally, and I always told you this, Donnie, I don't gamble, okay, with people's Pesachs, okay? if I want to gamble, I'll go to Vegas, which I don't do, but I'll go, you know, and that's gambling to me, or whatever. But
Right.
in this business, I'm not taking chances.
No,
I'm
you
really,
have,
really
yeah, you're the
not.
only thing I always tell people, especially programmers, the only thing you have is your reputation, right? So you
Right.
gotta make sure. So let's move to something else. We got I just quick time. We got like 20 minutes here.
Yeah.
I want to hit on a bunch of other things. So
Sure.
we talked about a lot of the buyout. We talked about the hotel. We talked about the resort. Let's move to like the Pesach vacationer. Let's move to who is
Right.
the Pesach, the typical Pesach vacation. Let's talk about. I want to break this down a couple ways. So when you think about
Right.
answering this question, let's talk about the demographics. Let's talk about
Sure.
family size. Let's talk about community affiliation, and I
Right.
want to talk about repeat guests. So
Okay.
dig in a little bit there with us.
Okay. So, um, look, the demographics of every Pesach program is similar. Okay. There's no such thing, like people say, um, I heard the crowd is very old, or I heard there's a lot of singles, or do you have a sing? These things don't exist in Pesach land.
Right,
Okay,
right.
you have the grandparents that are coming with the married children that are coming with the grandchildren. That is your demographic. Okay, do I get a number of rooms that are just a couple here and there? Of course I do. Okay,
Yeah,
but that's not the majority.
yeah.
Okay, and singles go with their families. Okay, and families, a lot of them are going for their single son and daughter to meet people, which is
Mm-hmm.
why, I got into the shotgun game at these hotels where I'm bringing people solely to introduce people. Because it's one of the last bastions of where the modern Orthodox can meet in a natural environment.
That's true.
So, I mean, the days of, parties and this and that, it's over.
Right.
So, once these kids are out of college, it's very, very difficult unless they want to go on on the websites.
Yeah.
So this is an easy place to meet in a natural
Mm.
environment.
Yeah.
So, um, so
But
that
what?
is, so
But
that's,
but let's break it down even further. Do you
yeah,
feel that everyone has to? Do you feel this is catered to a very affluent community,
okay,
or do you think there's a program for everybody? From a budget perspective.
right. Okay, so two things,
What types of families go? I
so
mean, I
two
can answer.
things,
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
a couple of things with costs. Okay, up until recently, okay, there was no such thing as these crazy price programs. Especially, they came out of, really it started coming out of Europe, and it expanded. But Donnie, these numbers that these programs are advertising, they're not obtainable. They're not. I don't think they're real numbers because they're programs.
Which ones? You're talking about
I'm
the
not.
which ones?
I'm not naming.
No,
I'm
no,
not.
not the names. I'm saying which type of
But
programs. You're talking about the.
so a program that advertises 2,500 euro a person, 3,000 euro a person, that's not an obtainable number. Okay, I tell everybody my raw food costs.
Hmm.
Okay, on my Pesach programs.
Hmm.
Okay, is more than these guys. When I say raw
Hmm.
food costs, let's understand what that means. I'm not talking about labor now. I'm not talking about hotel. I'm only talking about the raw food. Okay.
Yeah,
And I'm not talking about shipping, and I'm not talking just the
yeah,
raw food cost is more than 2,500
yeah.
euro a person. And
Well,
these guys are 3-star hotels and 4-star hotels, and some of them are 5-star hotels in Dubai. I don't understand it. I never have, and I never will. It's
so
not
ho-
an
so
obtainable number.
what's your view on that, right? Because there are a lot of programs out there, especially in Europe, as you know,
Right,
and many other areas, that charge 3 to 4 thousand euro per person, and they do it every year. And people, by the way, as you
Donnie?
know,
Yeah.
come back, come back very happy, right? And say, hey, you know what? My expectations were met. And maybe that's the key here.
Okay.
Expectations were met.
Correct. So there's a couple of things with that. Number one, all your stories that you get at a Pesach with the container not showing and this and the guy canceling. Why is it always the 3 and 4,000 euro program, Donnie? Okay. You never hear of the 15,000, 14,000, 13,000. It's because the number is not real. And when I say that, Donnie, these guys, they have it's like a warped sense of thinking where I'm going to break into the market, and because I don't have a reputation, there's so much competition, I'm going to undercut the hell out of the market, and I'm going to establish myself, and if I take a loss on the first or second year, I'm okay because this is for the future.
Mm,
Donnie, and I always tell you, okay, there's no such thing as losing 20, 40, $60,000 or euro on a program. Okay. When these
mm,
programs lose, Donnie, you're
hmm.
talking about big bucks.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It could be easily $1 million. Okay. It could be a $500,000, but it's no, 100,000. I could tell
It's a
you that
huge
much.
risk. It's a huge. I mean, listen, they're putting
Of course it is.
the two biggest costs, right? That program operators are putting down way in advance before they have any bookings or a lot of bookings are the hotel and the food. I think everyone knows that.
But one
But
second, Donnie, the food is later on.
right,
Okay. When the guy signs a contract, I don't care where it is in the world. Okay. There's a deposit schedule that has to be met.
yeah,
Okay. Now, if you're going into a hotel that's never experienced it, and again, you have a stupid salesperson across the table. Okay. They'll sign a deal, 10,000, 15,000 deposit. And then I can't tell you what everyone else's deposit schedule, but smart hotels, okay, the initial deposit is 100 grand.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And let's say you're signing that in June or July.
yeah,
Okay. And then they're gonna every month they're
yeah.
gonna
So
it's so
so
what
let's
happens so what happens with these guys, with these, call them newbies, fly by nights, whatever you want to call them, okay, is
mhm.
they make the initial deposit, they come out with stupid low numbers, okay, then they make deals with people. Give me 50% of, they're not taking a small deposit. I need 50% upon when you make the reservation, um, because they need the money for cash flow. They need that money for making the next deposit. Okay.
Mhm,
And by the way, and I have the, and I tell you this all the time, they're living on the money, Donnie, some of these people. Okay.
mhm.
It's not necessarily going even for the hotel deposits. They're
Right,
they're
right.
it's in essence, Donnie, and I
Yeah.
don't like to use this word lightly, but it's a Ponzi scheme almost.
Mhm.
Okay. They're taking people's money, okay, and they're not necessarily turning, I tell everybody, these guys have a fiduciary responsibility that you can't take that money and just pay your kids yeshiva bill with it. Okay,
Yeah.
they're
Well,
giving you a deposit.
well,
They're giving you a deposit
yeah,
for a Pesach program at a specific
yeah,
hotel. The
yeah,
only thing you could do with that money, okay, is give it to the hotel for their
yeah,
for your
yeah,
deposit schedule. That's it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
it's not to use any which way you want, and
yeah,
that's what happens here, Donnie.
yeah,
They get in trouble, and suddenly on the third deposit they can't make their payment, okay, and boom, they have to
yeah,
cancel the program, and
yeah,
then they don't have the money even to return to the guests.
yeah.
It's not like these guys are
Yeah.
going out initially to steal people's money. They're not.
Well, I
They're,
think that's an
they're
important point, by the way, right? I don't think I agree, with you there. It's like I don't think anyone's out there starting this. It's so much work, first and foremost. You know
correct.
this, right? I don't think anyone's out there going out like, hey, how can I just scam people, right? That's number one.
Right.
Um, I think it's an execution and an operation issue, to your point, with making sure you put on a good program and how to do it the right way,
Right.
but I don't think anyone's going out there. In the interest of time here, I want to move to another topic. We talked about a little bit. I want you to hone in on this a little bit, Robert. You know, there's a dig. There's a difference between budget friendly programs to ultra luxury
Okay,
programs.
fine.
I
So you were
mentioned
telling
this
me,
expect.
Donnie, you're telling me about the look, years ago, okay, I used to use the famous line, okay, poor people don't go away for Pesach. Okay. Now, that's a pun, that's kind of like a half joke, but if you're going in the United States, let's put aside Europe for that. If you're going in the United
Yeah,
States, there is no program that's even 10,000 a couple. Well, actually, whatever, you know better than I do, but some of the Haredi programs are
Fair, fair.
maybe are,
The
are,
majority,
are,
I'd
are,
say
are maybe
the
cheaper.
majority are the majority above, like you said, they're 10 and above. The majority, yeah, in the
Donnie,
U.S., like you
I
said.
don't even see 11s and 12s out there anymore. Okay, everything is the cheap ones are 15, 16, and then it goes up to 25,000 a couple. So
Yeah.
it's a number. It's a serious number. Okay, that people are shelling out here now. If you're struggling, to pay for your kids' yeshiva bill, or you can't afford to send your kids to summer camp, or whatever the case may be, are you going on a Pesach program? No, you're gonna
I hope so.
you're gonna rent the house, okay, and you're gonna do your own, or whatever the case may be, or you're staying
Mm-hmm.
home, or
Mm-hmm.
but Pesach at home is a lot of money,
Yeah.
okay, and
Yeah.
then doing a hotel, everything's costly when you're taking away a whole family,
Yeah.
so it's a lot,
Yeah.
and you know, and the old
So.
adage, Donnie, that if it's too good to be true, it is. That is a
Mhm.
you can go by that on a Pesach program. Okay,
Give me an example of that. What do you mean by too good to be true?
Donnie,
Give folks an example. Yeah.
3,000,
Mm-hmm.
2,500-year-old person. Those are too good to be true numbers. Okay, now I know a guy out of France. He's like 3,500 and he runs a good program and he's been doing it for a bunch of years. Okay. But this guy's business is not just Pesach. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a hotel for the summer for a month. He'll do a winter. He'll do so call it a guy like that. He's treating Pesach kind of as like his, I'm not going to say his lost leader. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but it is, okay, because you can't make money. I don't care what you say, Donnie. Okay, he's not the hotel. They're not giving the hotel to him for free.
No,
You want to tell
100%.
me it's off season. You want to tell me these hotels will close the whole winter, and April he's opening
Well,
them up.
you can
That's great.
I agree, but you can argue here that and you can go into this a lot, because you have a European program. European hotels, the difference between European hotels, right, and American hotels, right, from a price standpoint,
Yep.
a lot
Oh, there's
cheaper.
a big difference. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Correct. But when you say a lot cheaper, the room rate in
Yeah.
general is not a lot cheaper. Okay, it depends what
Fair.
you're going to. Like my hotels, that I'm going to. I go to 5-star hotels.
Hmm.
It's a real number that
Yeah.
they're charging per
Yeah.
room. It's not. They're not
Yeah.
giving it to me
But
for
I mean,
for
would you
200, 250, 300.
right? But I think the question is, would you argue that some of these properties are they 5 star? Are they 4 star? Are they
A
three?
lot of them are, Donnie.
Yeah.
th-
Yeah.
There's there's years some of these Morocco programs, they were 5-star hotels that these guys are operating at a
100%.
ridiculously no number.
Yeah.
Did the hotel
Yeah.
give them the you think the hotel's giving them $150 room rate? No,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not. Okay,
Yeah.
I can assure you, if it's a 5-star
So
hotel with
yeah.
five-star labor, these guys are paying a number. It's not they're not
Yeah.
getting it for them for free, or else why would the hotel do it?
100%. Yeah. No, hundred
They're not
percent.
going to do it.
Unless they own the hotels.
Who owns
Here
the
here
the operator owns the hotel?
unless some yeah, well, there's a couple operators that own
I
the
I don't
hotels.
I don't know
Yeah.
of any,
Yeah, there's a
but
handful. Okay, so let's move to the next thing. So the next thing I want to talk about, and this could be a misnomer in the industry. Like your like your point of view here is, a lot of people think they have to book later. They think they get the best deal in February, March, right? They say, oh, you know what, they
right,
didn't fill up, so I'm gonna go, and then Robert Frusher at Leisure Time is gonna give
right,
me a deal. He's gonna give me
okay,
if he can't sell it, that means it's gonna go to waste. So I'm gonna get a deal.
right,
Okay. Talk about early bird special, last minute
okay,
availability, and deposit structures. Talk a little about that, and when
fine,
to book, and why it's important to book early.
okay. So in general, depending on the program that you're looking for, but the late the late program. I mean, if you're looking to book a program a month out, 6 weeks out, you're not going to the long established programs, because the long established programs, Donnie, are sold out. Okay. My, I don't want to mention this is not here for me to promote programs, but I have a hotel that sells out in December. Okay,
Yep.
I have one in December, sells out one in January. I mean,
Let, let me,
they sell out
so hold on.
early, and you're
Let me
waiting.
let me
You're going to wait and think you're going to get a good deal. You're not going to get in if you get a good deal.
let me make a hypothetical for you. I'm curious your view here.
Yes,
Let's say, your program or another well-established program has rooms in January, February, March timeframe. Let's go with
oh,
that scenario
by the
for a
way,
minute.
yeah,
Not to say it will
January.
happen, but let's say it
Hold
will. I'm
on,
curious.
Donnie. I do. January's not late. February's not late.
Well, I would say
Those are
let's
heavy.
go
Those are
March.
heavy booking
March.
months. My
March.
busiest month is no, me personally. My busiest month now is um October, November,
Yeah, yeah,
December.
yeah. That's
And
that's when
okay, so
people
come
book.
right. So
Yeah.
come March. Okay. Again, depending, I had three new hotels, Donnie, that I opened this year. Okay,
Hmm.
so you know, I Sicily. We've been doing Italy since 1999, but we tend to stay in a hotel like 3 or 4 years,
Hmm.
and then we move. Okay,
Hmm.
so we were in Portofino for a long time, but Sicily was brand new. Okay,
Hmm.
um, so yeah, I mean, January, February are important months,
Hmm. Hmm.
certainly. Okay,
Hmm.
and again, depending on the year, will be do we when is it sold out if we still have availability? Okay,
Hmm.
but the bet. Listen, Donnie, to cut it short, the best time to get a deal
Yeah.
anywhere, forget
Hmm.
me per se, is early.
Tell
Okay,
me why. Tell me why. Tell us
because
why.
hotels operators want to see, depending on the size of the hotel, they want to see 100 rooms under their belt early on, and somebody that
And
has
I think
a
I
400 room
think the answer
hotel.
I think the answer is also right. Piggyback on what you said. I think it's also the fact that these operators are giving and want to provide early bird specials in the beginning. They're not going to give the deals at the end.
Correct.
One, because that's
Number
that's
one, they
when they
can't
make
afford it.
their they can't afford. That's when they make the profit. That's number one.
Right,
But more importantly, right? Like you said, they want to get as much money up front to pay those deposits that they need to pay to make sure, hey, I can breathe, right?
right. But listen,
So,
Donnie, there's a red flag right there. Right
hmm.
there. Okay. If someone is asking you, an operator, for a 50% deposit, okay,
Hmm.
if you have a $50,000 bill, okay, and someone says, to make a reservation, I need 25,000. Right there's
Hmm.
red flag number one.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
I've been doing this forever. Okay. And have deposits gone up? Of course, because costs have gone up. Everything has gone up. So, but my deposit schedule is normal. It's like, when you make a booking, um, I don't even know offhand, but whatever, it's 2,500 a person or 3,000, whatever the number is. It's a percent. It's
Hmm.
maybe it's, if you want to go on percentages, so it's 20%. It's
Hmm.
not 50. 50
Yeah.
is a red flag. 50
Right.
means the guy needs the money to make payments.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. So that's number one. Number two. So listen again. It's the smartest time is early. It's not late. Okay,
Yeah.
and that is an
Yeah.
across the board statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, even the person, let's say the guy has a 300 room hotel. Okay, and let's say he's got, in March, the last month, 30 rooms opened. Okay, you think the guy is discounting the hell out of those 30 rooms? No,
Absolutely not. Absolutely
no,
not.
those 30 rooms are crucial to his bottom
Hmm.
line.
Hmm.
So so if
100%.
he's going to
He'll
give
do
you any
whatever.
deposit, it's going to be small.
Exactly. He'll do whatever it takes to sell. Yeah, 100%. No, the time to book exactly is early, early,
Right.
early. As early, I'll be honest, as early as they come out. Not just saying that, because, but it's important. People don't
Yeah.
understand that. It's such a misnomer in the industry. It's unbelievable. People always
Correct.
come to me and say, "Oh my God, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait." I'm like, "You wait." So many times people wait, and to your point, they miss the opportunity to get on the program they want, especially
100%.
if they're booking multiple rooms. So,
100%.
all right. So
Donnie,
here's a
I'm
lot.
gonna I'm gonna give you another big misnomer in the industry. Okay. The
Go ahead.
number one question that everyone asks: what type of crowd do you have? Okay, that's the number one question. Okay, and I get it. People don't want to step into a program that they're not going to, they're paying a lot of money. and they don't want to step
Hmm.
into a program that they're not going to feel comfortable in. And I
Yeah.
get it, but you don't have. It's listen. A hotel that's advertising. Let's talk about United States, okay?
Hmm.
Naam gebracht, Kol Yisroel, well stock based medrash, Pirchei and Beno style day camp. Boom. You know the program. Okay.
Hmm.
It's not a modern Orthodox hotel. It is a yeshivish
Hmm.
black hat
Separate
and
swimming, another,
for
yeah.
sure, for sure, for
Hmm.
sure. But even listen, you have programs, Donnie, that are forget black hat. They're Bekkishes,
Hmm.
they're Hasidic almost. Okay, so
Hmm.
you have that
Hmm.
you have that kind of program. Then you do have a more call it yeshivish right wing black hat, and then you
Hmm.
have and the rest of them are
Yeah.
modern Orthodox.
Modern. Yeah.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as a conservative or reform
No.
program.
Well.
Those don't exist. And yes, if you're worried about, here's the one. Here's the number one question also. Do the women come into the dining room wearing bikinis? Okay. Number
Right.
one
Right.
question. Okay.
Right.
Now,
Right.
now
Right.
here's it also easy that you never have to worry about that. Okay. You have Syrian programs, okay? You have call them Syrian, Kitniot. Yes,
Hmm.
yes, they're
Hmm.
dressed a little bit different than a regular modern Orthodox program. But on a regular modern Orthodox program, no,
Hmm.
people aren't walking
Hmm.
into the dining room bathing suits. Number one, it's
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
You're gonna freeze. The air conditioning,
Hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just a complete misnomer in the marketplace.
Yes, I
So,
agree.
so
So we're
that's
we're at time. So I wanna ask you one last question, but I
sure.
want you to answer it pretty succinctly. And then by the way, guys, we are going to have a lot of these really amazing sessions. We're going to get into it. If you guys have comments or questions, feel free to throw them in the comment section. I think we would like to, as long as it relates to what we're talking about. And if it relates to what we're talking about, we'll definitely answer them. The last question I'll ask in this session, and we'll have many more of these types of sessions, is where do you think the industry is going in the next 3 to 5 years? Right? There's change. Programs are getting more expensive across the board. A lot of new programs are popping up. I can go into 10 new things that are happening in the industry, right? In the Pesach program industry. But where do you think it's going in the next 3 to 5? Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So number one, the top heavy programs, I want to say, unless someone's coming out with a very boutique, 200 person or, again, Ritz-Carlton Four Season class hotel, your top programs aren't those numbers aren't dramatically changing anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
They're there. Okay.
Hmm.
How much more, Donnie, are you going than $25,000 couple? I mean, what are you doing? 26,000? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's they're
Right.
not going to 35,000.
So
That I
you
could tell
you
you.
so you think it's cap, no matter what you do, it like the most it's capping at a maximum per couple at around whatever it is today, 20, 22, 25K, around
At,
there, max.
at the moment, yes, because these
Yeah.
programs have their contracts call for annual increases. Okay, so the pricing is going to
Yeah.
go up $500,
Yeah.
$600.
Yeah.
Reasonable, but not. It's not going, to the stratosphere
Yeah.
at
Right.
all. Okay.
Right.
I believe wholeheartedly that on the lower end programs, you're not
Right.
going to see them around, Donnie.
Yeah.
They're not going to be around anymore
Right.
because how many times is the guy, going to bang his head against the wall, and kill himself? Okay. At a certain point, I'm out. Okay.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
didn't work for me and I'm done.
Hmm.
So I think you're going to see less and less of those programs. So the market is going to listen. The U.S. market, because the hotels in the U.S. charge way differently than the European hotels. The
Yeah.
U.S. hotels have long ago, and I'm going back already 25 years ago. They're smart. They know exactly all the little areas to hit you. Okay. So
Hmm.
it's a high room rate. It's a high meeting space rental. It's a high labor rate. Everything is high. Okay. And you want to get your sound system through the hotel, it's through the nose. Your garbage pickups. Okay. oh, you want, a lot of times they'll hit you supplemental charge for housekeeping because, your guests are there for 10 days and there's a lot of occupants, so we have to hire, another 25 housekeeper. All
Mm-hmm.
they know
Yeah.
how to charge. Okay,
Yeah.
so no one is getting away cheap in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Europe is a different ball game because,
Yeah.
it's whatever.
Yeah.
It just is, and they're
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
that's where I think the market is. Honestly, I see the modern Orthodox market is honest. I mean, it's shrinking.
Mhm.
There's less and less modern Orthodox. I mean, in the Northeast, call it the New York metro area. I don't
So
know of any. I only know myself.
I'll give you one piece of also interesting information, at least on our side that we've gathered over the years, is that while the Pesach program community has geared much more, of course, to the modern Orthodox crowd, interestingly enough, the conservative and conservative docs, and I say that right, and even though I don't even like putting this into different like things, they're actually enjoying and coming on Pesach programs these
They
days, and
always
it's
have,
amazing.
Donnie. They always
Yeah, no,
have.
but it's
Okay,
sorry,
it's
it's
not.
been sorry. Let me rephrase. It's been increasing year over year. At least that
I agree.
the data shown. Yeah,
I agree that
which is
I
great.
definitely agree with that statement.
Yeah,
But Donnie, I also tell everybody, I don't care where you are in the religious
exactly.
sphere.
Doesn't matter.
I have families. The son wears a black hat, and the sister could be completely irreligious.
100%.
Okay, the
100%.
sister covers her hair,
Well,
and
my point,
you have
my point,
everything.
my point is that these programs are geared to every sect of whatever
Yes,
religious level you follow, right? That's my
yes,
point, which is great. It's a great thing. That's all. All right,
yes.
this is great, guys. Thank you so much for jumping on with Robert Frush and myself, Donnie Schwartz from Passover Listings, Leisure Time Tours. We're going to do a lot of these sessions. This is session one, understanding the market. Give you a little sneak peek, for the next one. We're going to do the guest experience, what life actually looks like at a program. A little sneak peek preview. It's going to
But Donnie,
happen next week. Yeah,
before you run, honestly, my goal after all this is I want to stop the rahilas, the lashon hara. It's just it's sickening, and I get people's anger, and I understand it well, but I want it to just be a different ball game moving
yeah.
forward
We
with
need to
with
be
what
positive. We need
with
to be positive.
expectation level and the whole
Well,
nine
that's the thing.
yards.
I think education is key because I think when you set people's expectations, you know what you're
Yeah,
getting yourself into. There's really nothing to complain about, right?
right.
You're taking the accountability and responsibility for going on a program. You should
Right.
know what you're getting yourself into. All right. I
Okay,
appreciate
Donnie.
your time. We'll talk soon. Thank you, everybody, for
Alrighty.
jumping on. We'll talk soon. Take care.
Have a good one. Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.